One of the biggest questions in trading, why can't I just stick to my rules when I'm in a trade? Why can't I do that? We're going to answer that, but what I want you to notice is that what you had is you had the sensation that you were planning your trade and trading your plan. And what happened at that particular time, your brain had conspired to produce a mind that was disciplined, that was patient, and that was clear thinking, rational, what we would call rational. Then what happens, you take that plan, you've got it here, yep, it's knowledge now, I've got it, and you go to trading, and then you enter that trade. Everything changes at that moment. Up until that moment of trade entry and management is that there is no threat to the emotional brain. Understand, your emotional brain has been asleep. It hasn't been activated. It only gets activated when it perceives a real change in environment out there. You're sitting there logically putting a trade plan together and it sees everything's fine, I'll just go to sleep. Then you move to the arena of action, okay? To the emotional brain, that caveman brain, you might as well be on the African savannas and you're on a hill and a bluff and you're looking out over the savannah and you're kind of scared because what you're thinking is, oh my God, there could be a saber-toothed tiger behind every bush I look. Now the truth is, there's only 1 in 10,000s out there, but your emotional brain was built to survive, okay? And it's assuming something bad's out there. Now, there's a good reason. We were a hunted quarry, so it was very obvious that we needed protection. All the lions and tigers and bears are gone now, but what happens is that the moment that you put money, real money on the line, that emotional brain of yours, not understanding money at all. Conceptually, it doesn't get it. If you took a truckload of money, dumped it in front of a caveman, they wouldn't know what to do. However, to the brain, to the emotional brain, money has been symbolically linked to power. The power to survive, the power to win, to prevail, the power of safety, the power of prestige, status. That's what your emotional brain thinks in. And all of a sudden, that power, that money, is being threatened. Now, what do you think it's going to do? Particularly if it's not prepared to go in there and work with uncertainty, it's going to flip on you. And the way you would see it is, Randy, I don't know what happened. I was sitting there, I was in the trade, and all of a sudden something happened. And before I know it, the smoke was clearing and I saw the damage. That something is that there was an emotional hijacking because the emotional brain saw that there was a change in status. There was a threat, a viable threat. And it triggered and took over your thinking brain. Just like that. That's why tough, being, I'm just going to push through this. It doesn't work. The emotional brain is far more primitive, far more dangerous than you can imagine. It can turn into a 600-pound gorilla easily. And so that's ultimately what did it. You went into a situation, you had an unprepared mind, you didn't build the mindset that you needed to trade and risk capital. And then what happens is the emotional brain wakes up because there's trouble, and all it's doing is taking care of trouble. And it just so happens that the thinking brain that you really want there is part of the trouble and is swept away. That happens every day in trading. That's the problem, is the brain that you brought to trading is simply not prepared for the tasks of trading. It has to be retrained if you want to be consistently profitable. Now, the second thing you need to understand about this, though, is that we look, when we're doing that trade plan and we're just going to execute the trade plan, we think that we're a rational creature. Okay? I mean, after all, man's the one who's rational and logic and all that stuff, right? Well, the truth is we're not rational creatures. We are emotional creatures. The emotional brain was there long before the thinking brain got there. That rationalizes. And all of a sudden you start going, oh, that's what's happening, is that the emotional brain's already made a decision and the cognitive brain comes around and kind of like creates the alibi to support the story. Okay? So we get that and we're going, okay, you're saying that I need to build emotional programs that give rise to thought that can indeed produce a mindset that can engage uncertainty in a very powerful, empowering way. Yeah, you can do that. And that's the good news. You are an emotional brain, and your brain is very adaptable, and it can learn how to rebuild the mind from emotional programs that you need in trading. Friends, but that's not all. Not only are you not a rational creature, your brain organized you into emotional patterns that matched up with threat or opportunity in the environment. And it became locked in, okay? And those became patterns that easily fired. And what's happening is that you fall into that pattern, you're there, it's inescapable unless you go in and start re-engineering it. The truth is that the brain that you need is rooted in emotional intelligence, and you're looking for the discipline, the ability to maintain order under pressure, patience, taking what the market will give you rather than jumping out after something, and clear thinking, what we would call rational. Those are the three emotional programs that are blindsided and pushed out of awareness when your survival instincts show up. That's your caveman brain. So you're looking at it and going, oh, I need those three emotional programs, and I need to be able to access them. I need to be able to build the mind, because the deal is that all thinking is emotional state dependent. So ultimately, all thinking comes out of emotional programs that most likely you've never really practiced and worked with to be able to say, I want to pull up this particular mind, and you think tough. And what you're doing is saying, no, what you're doing is you're eliciting from memory these emotional programs, and you're feeling the chemistry of the emotion in the body. That's when you know you've activated the emotional program. I promise you, if you look at the smoke clearing and stuff like that, you would have felt that. That's the chemistry of the emotion. Unfortunately for you, not a good emotion to be trading with. But if you prepare yourself, you can build this mind that when it enters the trade, you trade your plan. Okay, there's none of the story. Okay, what there is are these programs of discipline, of courage, of patience, and of clear thinking that are there to give rise to the mind that engages the uncertainty. That's the trader's state of mind. It can be built. If you come to the moment where you realize that you're going to have to, the brain you brought to trading is just not going to work. You're going to have to build it. If you really get to that moment of going, and really want to develop the emotional intelligence to be able to rebuild the mind for trading, look further in our group. Take a look at more of the videos, get my book, then start looking at the classes and saying, how do I go about the skills, developing the skill sets that allow me to produce that particular mind? You'll find it there. Come and learn, friends. Come and learn.